Welcome to Magnify Your Message. Inspiration magnified.
Whatever you do, you can't do it alone. You know, a lot of people like, I don't need their help. I got this. No, you don't. I mean, we're not here to be by ourselves, okay? It's okay to seek help because we're not here to be alone.
Welcome to the Magnify Your Message podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl Hunter. And today we have an incredibly inspiring guest who embodies empowerment and transformation. Cassandra Crawley Mayo is here with us today. Cassandra is the author of the #1 best-selling book, Is Your Way in Your Way? She's a powerhouse resource for women who are ready to break through self-imposed barriers so that they can live their fullest potential. After an impressive career as vice president of client relations at a Fortune 500 company, Cassandra decided to step away at age 55, redesigning what success looks like on her own terms. She went on to chart her own course as a keynote speaker, author, podcast host, and expert in leadership and personal growth. In this episode, she shares her remarkable journey from growing up during the civil rights era to becoming a trailblazer in corporate America, facing challenges like discrimination, and ultimately finding her purpose beyond the boardroom. So if you're feeling stuck, unsure about your next step, like it's perhaps too late for you, or maybe you're just looking for a dose of encouragement to take your life to the next level, this episode is for you. All righty, I give you Cassandra Crawley Mayo. I am delighted and thrilled to introduce you to today's guest, Cassandra Crawley Mayo. Thank you for being here, Cassandra.
Thanks for the invitation, Cheryl. This is just great. I am super excited actually to be here. And let me tell the audience just a little bit about me. I grew up as an only child, and once I graduated from college, I went into corporate America. And I worked and I worked and I worked. That's all I ever did was work, even on the weekends. There was never a thing 40 hours a day, that 40 hours a week. That never happened. But when I finally retired, which was one of my goals, I decided to become an entrepreneur. And that to me was very tough, but I'm up for the challenge. And I'm an entrepreneur. And what I do is I'm an author, I'm a public speaker, and I am a mentor, and I am loving it.
It is so empowering to hear your story. It is, it, there is this paradigm, I think, that we all have lived in the past regarding what's possible and what isn't possible. And
Yes.
I don't know that there's anything more inspiring than someone who just says, yeah, thanks for sharing. I'm going to create my own path.
Yes.
This is what it looks like. And that you did that in retirement when people say, oh, you should be slowing down. This is the way retirement goes. And you're just, no, thanks. This is how it's going to go.
That's right.
Just beautiful. Share with us how that happened and what kind of mentoring and speaking and authoring you do. Just, I can't wait to hear your whole story.
Well, one of the things I do want to share is that I grew up in the civil rights movement in that particular era. And as I grew up, I've noticed as I look back on things after I matured, I noticed that I was always the first African American female in any position that I had. That to me was okay. I was very naive. I didn't understand that the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which prevented people supposedly from discrimination. So I say that not to impress anybody, just to impress upon individuals that I was a vessel. That's the way I see it. I was a trailblazer.
Amen. I'm just having a moment. Woo. And for those of you listening rather than watching. My hands are raised up in the air, like just it's like being at church. God bless you. Keep going,
Yeah,
Cassandra.
so
Wow.
that's what I see. I'm just a trailblazer. And I do remember one incident that occurred to me is I received a phone call from a human resource manager, and he offered a job to me. And it was in the hotel business. I am not ashamed to share it. I was a general manager at a Marriott hotel, which was a Courtyards when they first opened. And when he asked me, I wouldn't say he asked me, he offered me a position as a general manager. And I said, yes, I can't wait to hear more about it. And the next words out of his mouth was, thank goodness I met my quota.
Ah, wow. Way to speak to a woman's heart.
Exactly.
The
And you know
heart of a
what?
human being.
It,
Holy
it
moly.
really is. And because I was naive, young, just getting into the corporate, it didn't hit me then. And it was a good thing that it didn't, because if I were not naive, I probably would not have performed to the level that I did. So what I immediately did was, this is my hotel and I'm going to run it just like it's mine. And I just dismissed what he said until later on in life. So that to me, really put me on a different path. And because of the path that I was on, I realized things even got harder for me, very difficult for me. And what I mean by that, I could see the biases. I could see, oh gosh, it's just amazing when I think of stories when people wanted to see the general manager. And when I would come out, they would make a comment like, no wonder this hotel's running like this. Just, oh, derogatory, nasty. So I'm like, well, if I can get through this, I can get through anything.
Amen. Yes, indeed. And I'm sure you proved them all wrong throughout your tenure as a general manager there and continuing in corporate.
Absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth. So, because I felt that I had to prove, and that's why I was such a hard worker, I
Mm,
had to prove, not I didn't get the job because I was African American. I had to prove that I had to get it because I was qualified.
yes.
And people were shocked. And I did a phenomenal job. And I say that because I was rewarded for the things that I've done. And I made ways for other people that look just like me. Okay, so from that point, I always set goals. And one of my goals I'll never forget was I wanted to make this amount of money at a certain age, this amount of money. Then I decided that I want to retire at the age of 55.
Wow.
And you know what? I retired at 55. However, knowing that I had to get my finances in order to make sure that I was able to retire and live comfortably at that age. So I'm just so grateful that I was able to do that.
Wow. You are a trailblazer indeed. So you retire at 55. Now, were these ideas percolating in you all along? I've got a book in me. I'm going to start speaking. I am built to mentor people. Or were you doing them all along? How did that come to pass?
Well, what's interesting is I indicated that all the jobs that I worked in, I was the first African American female. So, because of that, I didn't ever have to look for something. I didn't have to look for a job, which was amazing to me. So, people would come to me to ask me because they had to meet that quota, so to speak. And because of that, I never ever had to, never decided what's particularly that I wanted to do except retire at 55. And when I did do that, I was like, you know what? In order for me to live my best life to the fullest, I want to live a life where God has ordained me to live, because I know that will fulfill me. I know that. So therefore, I'm like, so let me try this. And the book, it was a nudge. It was something nudging me, and I could not let that book go. And every time I'm like, oh, I'll do it. And nudging, it was driving me crazy. And I was like, that must be God saying you're supposed to write a book. And that's why the book got written. And then guess what? After I wrote the book, I was like, thank you, God, I'm done. I appreciate it. And then something said, you're not done.
Yes.
Yeah, you're really not done. So you need to turn this into something. And what you put in that book, you need to share that because these are the things that's your story that you've been through. And all men, I can't think of one woman that will not see themselves in that book. So is your way in your way is my story. Because I recognize that I was in my way of doing what it was that I wanted to do. And that was to write a book. And then self-sabotage came. Then low self-esteem came. Then then inequality came. Then it got to a point, there was sometimes that I'm like, well, what is my purpose? What is all of that about? So I'm trying to even though what I was doing was my purpose, it's no big or little purpose. But when I knew that once I wrote that book, it was like a veil lifted. I knew this was something that I was supposed to have done. And that's something where I serve women, and my audience are women.
Mm. So did you start speaking on the topics you bring up in the book about getting in your own way
Mhm.
and start mentoring people inside of that same framework?
I do, but this is usually my topic, unlocking your full potential. And this is my mantra, living your best life according to what it is that you deem as your best life on
Mm.
your terms, living your best life on your terms. I usually do a scale when I talk about when I do my speeches from a scale from 1 to 10. Where are you in living your best life? 10 being the highest. And that question right there was just a shocker because people had to really think, number one, what is my best life? And that's what I want them to do. I'm on a mission to say, before I leave this earth, as I'm transitioning, my cup is going to be overflowing. I'm not going to have any regrets. I'm going to do what it is that I was ordained to do.
It really comes down to that, doesn't it?
Yes.
And the fact that you came up with this after retirement
Mhm.
in the act 2 of your life. I
Yes.
refuse to go
Mhm.
quietly into the sunset.
Yes.
I am going to determine what my best life is and
Mhm.
fulfill that and
That's right.
empower others to do the same is so
Yeah.
inspiring.
That's where I am as of today.
Mm. So you ask us to then take a look at what is my best life and
Mhm.
really distinguish and define that for ourselves.
Exactly.
And then it seems like you ask us to take a cold, hard look in the mirror
Mhm.
and tell the truth about where we are and are not living that.
Exactly. And I also pose statistics in regards to how many people, what is the statistics of individuals transitioning have regrets? And there was a hospice nurse that asked individuals as they were transitioning, did they have any regrets? And she came up with a common theme with 5 regrets. But the two of them really struck with me. The three, it's like, I wish I didn't work so hard. I wish I would have spent time with family. But the two that really bothered me is they said they wish they could have been more true to themselves, and
Mm.
they wish they were happier. And that's when I said, absolutely not. We should not have any regrets like that in life. We're here for a reason. We're not just here to be hanging out. We have a purpose for being here.
That is so true. I was blessed to be with my grandmother, just the two of us, as
Mhm.
she drew her last breath.
Mm.
And I had lived with her as a girl, and I felt at the time, because she was older and, the folly of youth. At 15, I thought
Yes.
she was positively ancient. And, well, I don't know what I was thinking, but she, I thought, oh, if what will I ever do if she dies? It'll be the saddest thing in the world. I was so fond of her.
Mm.
But at the moment of her actual death decades later, it was one of the most holy things I've ever experienced.
Mm,
And she was really good at that,
mm,
at
mm.
not dying with regrets. She
Yes.
had at one point fallen out with her sister
Hmm.
over something insignificant. It in
Yeah,
if it all is insignificant if we look
exactly.
at it, right? The
Exactly.
the love of a family versus any nonsense that is
That's
coming the
right.
way. I know I'm making it black and white. I just find it's helpful. She opened my eyes to that.
Mm,
And there was a grudge that had gone on for years, but she said no more.
right.
And she was probably in her 80s at this point.
Good for her.
And she did a personal development seminar weekend. We did it
Mm.
together.
Wow.
And she made up with her sister Stella and her sister Rosie and went on to go travel around and see her great grandchildren and grandchildren. It was a miracle.
That's
And
beautiful.
to observe that from her at that age, there's absolutely no excuses that I could
Mm.
come up with that would
That's
hold
beautiful.
water. It's just absurd.
Yes. Beautiful story.
Ah,
Mm.
Cassandra,
Oh,
thank you. And I just think of what you're making possible for all of these people that you serve. What a
yeah.
beautiful mission.
Yes. That's right.
What were some of the things as you took that, truthful look in the mirror for yourself that you
Mm.
recognized that you needed to change in order to fulfill your purpose?
Yeah, I look back over my life and there were times, I enjoyed what I was doing, but as time moved on, it was something inside that I was not settled. And I was like, it's time for me to leave, even though I'm waiting till 55, but I just didn't have that fire in my belly, you know. And what I had done was I did a self-discovery assessment from when I graduated till up to now. I'm always doing it. And some parts in it is painful. And what I'd like to do is for the individuals that are going through what I have been through, I want to share my story and also share what the lesson was that I learned from it and what they can do about it. Because we
Yes.
all have challenges, we all have struggles. Life is difficult, life is hard. But it's all about perspective too. And I talk about how can we change our perspective. And it's a work in progress. It doesn't happen overnight. I didn't become who I was overnight. This is a long, long journey. And so the self-discovery journey, I mean, that's this part of my book is actually a self-discovery journey for women on how to restore themselves, learn from experiences, and be their true self again. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you and I first met today, ahead of this recorded conversation, in your grace, in the grace of your listening, I was able to really uncover and reveal how I've been so single focused on work for so long, for so many decades. And I've been really starting to tell the truth about that to myself, that
Mm,
it no longer works.
yes.
And now being newly married, it's time to change
Yeah,
the whole focus
exactly.
and direction of my life so that
Mhm,
I can
mhm.
enjoy my life with him and provide even better value for the people I serve at work. And thank you
Mm.
for the grace that you provide and the
Yeah,
insight that you
you're
provide
welcome.
on that.
Absolutely. It was time for you to revisit, do your self-discovery and realize that that's all I've ever done. Is it who am I
Yes.
serving? I'm serving them, but what about me?
Yes.
What about
Somehow being
me?
left out of the equation didn't work, right?
Absolutely. What about me?
It's interesting how we can fall into a pattern that gets so habitualized that
Mm,
we don't even
mhm.
think to re-examine it. I hadn't.
That's right.
Uh, I just, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm building a business. I'm going to grow for the sake of growth and serving more, but rather than analyzing deeply and
Mhm.
taking that deep introspective look, boy, it's
Oh,
such a valuable inquiry you're
it
speaking
really
about.
is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I'm glad for you. I'm happy for your marriage and you're newlywed, and that's a beautiful thing.
Boy, interestingly enough, my grandmother led me in that as well. She had been widowed for nearly a decade when my
Mhm.
grandfather passed when I was younger, and
Mhm.
when I moved in with her, my true hope was that as a young person in the home, I might enliven her some more and
Right.
get her to get out. I thought
Yeah.
she was getting old, and on that trajectory, she would honestly die before too long because she had
Yeah.
become kinda set in her ways
Yeah.
and stayed home most of the time except for work, and sure enough, she became open, accepted
Mhm.
after a few months of me being there, accepted her
Mhm.
cousin's invitation to go dance at the Elks Lodge,
Oh, wow.
met Herb, who
Oh.
was also a widower. They got
Uh-huh.
married when she was 60,
Oh my
and
god.
they were married for the rest of their lives,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was a miracle, and
Oh, that's amazing.
the 2 of you defying stereotypes, defying norms. What a
Yes.
gift and a blessing.
Yeah, and you know what? You made me think of something. I always say age is just a number, right? Because let's say, it's somebody that passes away when they're 35. Okay. At that age, they were old. So let's say somebody is about maybe 60 and they may not go until 90 or 100. They're young. And that's why I
Mm,
say it's age is just a number.
that is mind-blowing. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's young? What's old?
Yes.
You don't know how long we have.
The contrast of that, 35 is old, whereas, 75 isn't.
Right.
If you've
If
got
you live that
another
long, you were young.
yes.
Mhm.
It may not be. Oh, Cassandra,
Yeah,
challenging our notions of what is.
that's right.
Mm,
Absolutely, absolutely. And I took it a little further. I also have a podcast, and my podcast name is Your Way in Your Way. And so it's just like my book, it's inspirational, just listening to people's stories, how they had some rough times, but yet many of them are doing what they want to do. They are living their best life on their terms. And I want my listeners, I want people to hear that if they can do it, so can you.
that
Yeah,
is wonderful. I
it
think
is.
there's not a better way for each of us to learn than by mirroring
Hmm.
and modeling what someone
Yes,
else has done.
that's right.
So you've given us this wonderful tool to use, taking
Mhm.
this deep look, this personal assessment at
Yes,
what is my best life? Am I
right.
living that today?
That's right.
And get
Hmm.
truthful with ourselves. What
Hmm.
else do you want to give us today as something that can help true us up and return us to who we really are?
Well, one of the things I always say is whatever you do, you can't do it alone. A lot of people like, I don't need their help. I got this. No, you don't. I mean, we're not here to be by ourselves, okay? And relationships, never underestimate the power of relationships. And it's just good to know people, get to know people. I'm not saying you got to be their best friend, but just make that connection. And I always say, don't burn your bridges because you may want to go across them again. So I'm very big on relationships because I didn't get to where I am today by myself. They were different people. Of course, I'm standing on the shoulders of my ancestors, and they're individuals that I had a mentor, I had a coach, and I still do. So I'm like, you can't do this by yourself. So it's okay to seek help because we're not here to be alone.
Mm. It's
Yeah.
it's fascinating. You just keep challenging the ideas that we've
Mhm.
been sort of reared with. I mean,
Right.
it is as a powerful woman, you should not need anyone. If you're going to
Mhm.
be sovereign, autonomous, successful, you got to do that yourself. Wait, we should have relationships?
Mhm.
Isn't that a wonderful gift to give us, the
Mhm.
permission
Absolutely.
to be the way we were built to be,
Exactly.
interdependent and
Mhm.
with beautiful, loving relationships? Gosh,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
how can people learn more about you and the work that you do?
They could go on my website, which is www.cassandracrawley.com. And I'm on, I believe it or not, I'm on TikTok. I finally got on TikTok,
Woo!
LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and it's all just put in Cassandra Crawley Mayo. And that's where I am. And I want to share with your listeners that I have a quiz on my website, and I just challenge them to take it. It's all about what is your potential? And
Mm,
it will define for them what their potential is, give them a synopsis of the good, the bad, the ugly, what are some things you need to change. But first of all, because we all should just start living our potential, but you need to find out what your potential is.
yes. I will make sure that all of the links to where you are online are listed in the liner notes of the episode. Boy, as you talk about potential, there's this old saying about the richest place in any town being the graveyard.
That's right.
And you
Yes,
are helping that no longer be the case.
exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
Cassandra, what a gift to be with you today.
Thank you. I
What
enjoyed this.
final words? I'm so happy you came. Thank you.
Mm.
What final words would you like to leave people with?
This is a quote, and I do not remember who said this, but I remember this quote. And, you know, you judge yourself by your intentions, and others judge you by your actions.
Mm,
Because we say, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to get my own business. Those are your intentions, but other people see it as an action. We judge by your actions, not your intention.
boy, isn't that true?
Mhm. What are you
Thank
going to
you.
do?
Yes, for that opportunity to
Yeah.
true ourselves up.
Exactly, exactly. And make sure that you have an accountability partner. That's part of it. Is someone to hold you accountable.
Mm, keep us out of the drift.
That's right.
Boy, well, this has been an absolute gift. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Cassandra's inspiring story as much as I did. Her journey is a reminder that it is never too late to live life on your own terms. Join me next time on the Magnify Your Message podcast, where I will be interviewing another inspiring thought leader who's using their life's work to make a positive difference in the lives of the people that they serve. And I'll see you next time on Magnify Your Message. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with everyone that you feel it would benefit. Thank you in advance. And when you're ready to share your story and your work with the world, I can help. Visit CherylHunter.com to learn how. I am Cheryl Hunter. And until next time, know that your message has the power to change the world.